Michael Carrick is the new interim manager of Manchester United, and he will start work by leading training tomorrow. It should be announced by the club soon. But not only that, his backroom staff have been revealed as Steve Holland, who was assistant manager to Gareth Southgate, and that means now we're going to get a million media links to Gareth Southgate. Man United have had 3 opportunities to get Gareth Southgate. They've not brought him in. I don't think we are going to bring him in. Jonathan Woodgate, who worked with Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough, Johnny Evans, who knows the club, knows the players well, and Travis Binnon, who was the former under-21s manager. I'm going to talk about this backroom staff, who they are, what their background is, and what they're going to bring to Manchester United, as well as Michael Carrick. So let's get into the video. First of all, let's talk about Michael Carrick, why Michael Carrick was chosen as Manchester United manager. Then we're going to talk about his backroom staff, what they might bring, and what each of their roles could potentially be. Sources have told club bosses favour Michael Carrick because he's considered a more hands-on coach. If you think of when Ollie was here, McKenna and Carrick would often do the training sessions. Ollie's more of he likes to do the recruitment, the manager stuff, the stuff behind the scenes, manage the players. But in terms of coaching, Carrick and McKenna have always been more hands-on. Carrick's personality and coaching qualities impressed some senior players during his time at United, and that the former, he is favoured by some senior players at the club. So Carrick is liked by senior players at the club, and I think that's always important to bring in someone as an interim manager that the players like and can get behind. They didn't like and they didn't get behind Ragnick, which was a disgrace by the players, but they at least liked and got behind Ollie. They can at least like and get behind Rude or Carrick. He's obviously got a good personality. He's got good coaching qualities. And some people will say, they've brought in Carrick because he's a yes man and, United DNA and all of that. But you've also got to remember with Michael Carrick, I'm not saying he's going to come in and succeed. I mean, have you seen that midfield? And also, are we expecting Michael Carrick to do in 6 months what Amorim couldn't do in 14 months? Who knows, with the players that aren't his. But Michael Carrick came into Middlesbrough when Middlesbrough were 21st in the Championship, so near relegation. He came into Middlesbrough end of October. They were 21st in the Championship. He managed 23 games. He won 16 of those 23 games. He took Middlesbrough from 21st to 4th. Middlesbrough fans loved him. He played attacking football. He played exciting football. He took them from 21st to 4th. He was obviously let down the following summer by Middlesbrough, and obviously it didn't end as well at Middlesbrough, but he had an instant impact in Middlesbrough. He had that new manager bounce. He got a tune out of a side that was 21st and got them to 4th. So maybe Man United see Carrick as a guy that not only knows the club, not only has quite recent experience, particularly in England, but someone that has proven he could come in mid-season and get a tune out of these players. I think that's something interesting. However, I think if they're really ambitious about getting Champions League football this season, they need to invest. They need to invest in a midfielder in January because Carrick plays a midfield 3, so he's going to need a midfielder even more than Amorim did, and Amorim needed a midfielder. But we don't have a left winger. We don't have a touchline winger at the club because you sold all the wingers. Carrick's principal task will be to guide United back into Europe. A minimum target of a top 6 finish was set last summer, but senior Old Trafford officials feel there is a golden opportunity to qualify for the Champions League this season and are looking at Carrick to navigate it. This makes me laugh. So you're looking at Carrick to do something that Ruben Amorim couldn't do in 14 months with Ruben Amorim's players when Carrick has far less experience, when he is an interim, and you're not going to give him anything in January to help with that, despite everyone knowing we need a midfield because our midfield is a car crash, and even Tottenham are trying to do something about their midfield. I saw this by James of the Muppeteers. Someone thinks we should be getting Champions League, but somehow no transfers. That's the goal, and that will be the aim for the interim, to get Champions League without a January window. I think there's an opportunity to get Champions League if 5th place potentially could get us Champions League football. The top 3 is going to be Villa, Arsenal, City. I think Liverpool will get that act together and get 4th. I think we're competing with Chelsea for 5th. Chelsea have a better squad than us. Chelsea have a better team than us. We are competing with Chelsea for 5th. Look, you can't rule out Newcastle. Brentford at the moment are up there. I think we can rule out Spurs by now. But you want someone to come in and get 4th when we have an atrocious midfield and now going to play a completely different way to the way we've been playing in a while, and you're not going to give him anything in January when Ruben Neves is there for 15 million, when Hayden Hackney, one of his former players, is there for £15 million. Nuts. So let's talk about Carrick And now we're going to talk about his interim staff. So let me just quickly say some last things about Carrick. Immediate turnaround at Newcastle. He took them from relegation threatened to playoff contenders. He got to a semi-final of the Carabao Cup. He played attractive possession-based football. He had a strong influence on player development and morale while he was at Middlesbrough, but he couldn't build on his first breakout season and was dismissed by finishing mid-table. That is what happened with Michael Carrick. He played a more pragmatic approach when he was manager of Manchester United for 3 games after Ollie, and he adapted his approach to suit the players, which I also liked from Carrick. But who is Steve Holland? Former England senior assistant manager under Gareth Southgate. Key coach behind England's Euro 2020 final and World Cup semi-final runs, and also Euro 2024. Previously was an assistant manager at Chelsea, according to the internet, and their most successful modern era. So I didn't actually know that, but that's what the internet's for. He's known for being very good at tactically preparing. Apparently he does a lot of the tactical analysis of the opposition, does very highly detailed reports, and is experienced at managing at the highest level, whether it be Chelsea, whether it be England. And I think one thing about this, and some people are saying, does this mean we're going to go for Southgate? No. I think with Steve Holland, he's very experienced. Chelsea, England. Carrick isn't very experienced. So to have someone like Steve Holland along with him who is experienced is nice. Steve Holland is a very experienced assistant manager. We do a lot of analysis on the opposition. I like that. What would his value be to Michael Carrick? I think he would add I've operated in an elite environment. I've operated at the highest level. I'm proven. I think he gives Carrick top level tactical soundboarding. And I think he'll hopefully help raise the training quality structure and, of course, match day details. Going into now Jonathan Woodgate. So Jonathan Woodgate obviously worked with Carrick at Middlesbrough. I'm not super familiar with him, but he was former Real Madrid, England and Middlesbrough defender and previous Middlesbrough assistant and caretaker manager. He's obviously known for his defensive contributions. I think Manchester United, with their lack of clean sheets, could do with a defensive-minded coach. We have an awful midfield. Carrick can help with that. Woodgate can hopefully help with the defence. He's known for basically set-piece defending, structure. And I think one thing that Ruben Amorim's coaches did very well, Carlos Fernandes, was improve us at set-pieces. Thank you very much, Carlos Fernandes. But I think he's someone that could potentially help improve the defenders. We've also got Johnny Evans in, who could also potentially help improve the defenders, because that is an area where I think, the attacks improved this season, but the defence has been not great. What would Woodgate's value be to Carrick? Well, they've worked together. Carrick trusts him. Carrick wants him. That's obviously the number one reason. But also, I think he could hopefully help tighten United's defensive discipline. I think hopefully he could improve the positioning of our defence, our ability to make recovery runs, our game management defensively. When we go a goal up, we still concede every game. And I think he can add an element of leadership, hopefully, to the coaching group and someone that Carrick knows. Let's talk about Johnny Evans. So I assume Johnny Evans is going to be more of a player, coach, leadership mentor. We know with Johnny Evans, he's won multiple Premier Leagues, he's won Champions League with Man United, and he's one of the most experienced defenders in the current squad. He obviously left at the end of the season and has come back, and I think he's respected in the dressing room because he knows the players well from last season. So all the players like him, they know him well, someone that's familiar with the players, which is always nice to have. And look, on-pitch coaching during training and matches you could bring. He's had a little bit of experience, but he's not super experienced. But I think it's someone that's going to mentor the younger players, knows the squad, and someone that, and I think Ten Hag said this and Amorim said this, Johnny Evans has always had elite professionalism. When Johnny Evans was a player in the Man United squad, he led by example. He was always an elite professional. And I think, sometimes we've questioned the Man United dressing room and the lack of professionalism in there. So I think having someone like Johnny Evans in there is always beneficial. I think Johnny Evans can act potentially as the bridge between the staff and the players to help, that relationship be better. I think he can reinforce Carrick's tactical message. And I think he hopefully raises the mentality, discipline and communication within the team. Now we're going to talk about Travis Binnon, who's done a fantastic job in the Manchester United youth ranks. He was a former Manchester United under-21s manager, and he was so key in basically developing that under-21 squad and has helped build, a lot of first-team players that have come through. And even if they haven't made it at Man United, they've made it at other clubs. So he knows United, he knows the club, he's been there for a while. And I think we've got some good youngsters like Shea Lacey, and I think Travis Binnon is someone that can help, when we need to bring youngsters in, because the squad ain't great. We're going to have to bring youngsters in. And you can look at the Glazers for that, for not getting us a better squad. And he's someone that could potentially help bridge the gap between the academy and the first team, but also maybe load management. I think one of the things that Ruben Amorim did best at Man United was his load management. He didn't run Luke Shaw into the ground. He didn't run Mason Mount into the ground. So hopefully Travis Binnon can help with that. I think he will hopefully make the youth integration a lot easier. I think he will protect the young talents that are developing and training. And I think he ensures squad depth and long-term sustainability. So these are the people that will be taking hold of Manchester United till the end of the season. Who knows how it's going to go? It's not going to be easy at all to work at Man United. I still think they need to invest in January. I still think, they need a long-term plan, and this isn't a long-term plan. But I actually am quite happy with the people that have come in. I thought that Ineos could have done a lot worse, but they definitely could have done better. Thank you for watching. Bye.